What's going on, everybody? Figured I'd do another video. I did one the other night on my Chris, and I enjoyed it, and I figured might as well go back to making videos and stuff now that first semester's ending, second semester's rolling around, everything's starting to get a little bit easier, it's starting to plateau again. Baseball season's rolling around, so that's going to interfere with Airsoft, unfortunately. But I figured I'd do a video tonight. It's like 2 in the morning. I was just playing some Xbox, and I figured, why not make a video? Yeah, so as you can probably tell by the title, here, depends on what device you're using and whether or not YouTube has changed their website in the past 24 hours. I don't fucking know. I am doing a review of the WE Scar. Now, I just want to point this out. I did not buy this recently. I've had this for a while now. Gosh, what was it, like, what, 3 or 4 months? Yeah, like 4 months now, like 3 or 4 months. I love it. Love gas blowback. It's one of the reasons why I bought the Chris. That's like right, fucking, I'm retarded. It's right there. There it is. Gas blowbacks are awesome. I love getting feedback from my gun, like whether it's recoil, just like feeling, like pulling the trigger, feeling the hammer click, feeling the gun kick, or even an AEG, pulling the trigger, feeling the motor rotate and the gears rotate and the piston pull back and snap forward. I just like getting feedback from my gun. That's one of the reasons why I haven't invested in a Polar Star. Like, I put so much money into my M4, the Chris, this. Like, I've put so much money into Airsoft, and my buddies are like, yo, why don't you just get a Polar Star? Like, yeah, that's awesome and all, like, $700, but, I don't know, Polar Stars just don't really give you feedback. It's just kind of like pop, 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 pop. It's just a valve opening and closing, and that's about it. I mean, yeah, they're cool and all. You can control the FPS, you can control the rate of fire, but I can do the same thing with the AEG. I mean, yeah, it's a little more time consuming and whatever, but I can just swap the spring, or there's like a new piston out there where all you got to do is stick a tool down the barrel, rotate it, and you can change your FPS from like 430 to 230 or 200 just by changing the what's it called? The ports. You can open and close ports on the piston. I thought that was an ingenious design. I forget which company it is, but GI and E-Bike both have them in stock. I plan on picking one up. Those look really awesome. And you don't have to change your spring, you don't have to change your gears or anything like that. The piston's the same weight, it's just changing the amount of compression rather than changing the amount of like tension on the spring or anything like that. So you can have like super speed setup. Like, you can have a 95 power spring in there, so you're doing little, like very little in terms of wear and tear. Like, you don't have to have monster torque. You don't have to have torque ratio gears and like an M120 spring and a torque motor, or like a M150, and like, you get like 20 shots and you're shooting like rate of fire. You can still have that fantastic rate of fire, but you just change the amount of compression. You just make it so it puts more air per shot, and that will in turn slow down your rate of fire, and it will cause wear and tear on your gun, but not nearly as much as having an M150 and then torque gears and like all that kind of stuff. And it's just interchangeable, so you can play field one day and be set at like 400, and then the next day, or hell, even later that day, you can be like, you know what, I'm going to draw my FPS. Or let's say I don't want to have to deal with a minimum engagement distance, or we're playing now. Or maybe you go to a field that has both indoor and outdoor, or has like close quarter field and long range field. You can just boom, change it, done, call it. But yeah, I got off topic there. As I do in most of my videos, if you are unaware of my channel or unaware of me as a person or as an airsofter, then I apologize for that in advance. Well, not really in advance anymore, but I do apologize for that. Anyways, moving on to the Scar. I do have this thing in tan. It was originally a closed bolt Scar, the AWSS Gen 3 by WE. I got it off of Craigslist. I built this guy a 416 with parts that I had. I had like a bunch of classic Army internals and then a D-Boys 416 externals from a friend, and I just put those together and said, hey, here's a custom 416. It was a great gun. I kind of didn't want to let it go, to be honest. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it turned out really nice. The trigger response was great. Rate of fire, FPS, compression, everything was just really nice about it. It sounded smooth. The shimming, I think that was one of my better shims. Like, I think I shimmed that better than my own M4, but or at the time. Now my M4 shimmed like perfectly, except now my M4 is broken. After 60,000 or so rounds, almost 70,000 rounds, I guess, my gearbox shell actually broke. It's not so reinforced anymore. Oh well, this is a quick fix. It's like nothing. I think I'm gonna be getting the Lonex reinforced, or if I can find one of KWA's 2GX gearboxes. Maybe somebody on Craigslist has like a CQR or a KM4 or something that's like broken or whatever, and I can just salvage the parts. Yeah. So anyway, back onto the Scar. Picked it up, Craigslist, traded. You know, I got 3 mags. It was originally a closed bolt. Now, as you can tell, it's an open bolt. I can stick my finger in there. There's no brass tube or anything like that. So, and the magazine isn't incredibly like long or anything like that. But it is now an open bolt Scar, meaning I can actually field it without having, without having to stay back like 100 feet. Because the AWSS Gen 3, or the closed bolt Scar, shot incredibly fast. It was like almost 500 feet per second. Kicked like a mule, and like I would have to use .3s in order to shoot accurately, because with .2s it would just fly off into, it would just fly away, gone, peace, I'm out. But I much prefer this setup. Now this gun is awesome. Highly recommend it if you're looking into a gas blowback. What's it called? I know G&G has their gas blowback combat machine. That's kind of like a pretend gas blowback. It's not. It's like, I don't know how to word it. It's kind of like a little bitch gas blowback. Not because there's no recoil. I mean, there's very little recoil in and of itself. It's an affordable gas blowback, but it's kind of like gas blowback. This, I think, runs for like $280 or something on e-bike. I'm not sure about GI. I haven't looked that up at all on GI. But this gun, in its open bolt, I chronoed it with .25s. It was shooting right around 300 at TAA. I like it. I like it a lot. There's like one major problem that I'll get to eventually, but okay. Anyway, onto the gun. So start from the front, work our way to the rear. Normally it would have a what's it called? Standard like birdcage style orange flash hider. I took it off. I don't know where it is. Oh well, I don't mind. I normally have an amplifier on here because it sounds freaking awesome with an amplifier. It's very loud, it's very aggressive. Right here, like right up in here, normally there is a little piece that you just pull out, and it has a Torx wrench, and that's used to disassemble this piece here and on the other side, and that gives you access to your barrel. This gun is very easy to field strip, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Moving on, it's got flip-up front sight. The front sight is standard, just post, ring and post. It does click And it does have a nice, click to it. It's not going anywhere. You will not accidentally disengage your iron sight or engage it, for that matter. It is fairly low to the rail unit, so if you have a red dot that's like mounted directly onto the rail without having a rise or anything like that, the front sight won't get in the way as much. The rear sight a little bit more so, because it's just sitting on there. It doesn't actually like dip down like this does. Moving on, you do have side rails and a lower rail. To remove the lower rail, there's a screw here and here, and you can just pull it off. To remove the entire barrel assembly, you're going to want to unscrew here and on the other side, and then right up here, and then on the other side there's another little screw. I'm not going to do that because I don't have my tools in front of me. If I had my tools in front of me and I had a table, I would, but I don't, so I'm not. Moving on. Flip it around because I have the charging handle set here. You got the charging handle. You can actually change the charging handle to either side. I currently have it on the left side because I'm a right-handed shooter. Funny story, my friend of mine had this, and he had his thumb in the path of the charging handle, and it came back and smacked him in the thumb. I don't know, he's kind of an idiot in that sense, I guess. Moving on, magazine release, standard M4 style mag release. It does have an ambidextrous magazine release. Over here, you just push this right here, and the mag falls right out. There's no problem with the mags not releasing. Like you don't have to push it and then pull the mag out or anything like that. It will just drop. Since I'm already at them. The magazines hold 30 rounds. Gas consumption is not that bad. You can usually get about 2 mags off with a full fill of green gas. Oh, right. It does have a blank fire capabilities. So you just move this little piece right here. You just pull it back. And now you can dry fire the gun without having the bolt lock back. Load the rounds from up here. It can be kind of frustrating at times, but once you seat the speed loader right, it's not that bad. Moving on, you got the trigger group. The trigger is a very light trigger, and I like that a lot. I can actually get quite a few rounds off, just quick trigger finger. Moving on, select your switch. You got safe, semi, full auto. Now this might just be my gun, but the trigger does feel like the trigger is kind of a little bit sticky. When I set it to auto, it feels like there's 2 points where it really moves to one point and then moves to the other point, and like it moves halfway, stops, and then I can pull all the way. Kind of stops right there. Like I feel a lot more resistance at the halfway point, and then I pull it all the way, and I can get a click off. Over here, it's going to be difficult to see. I apologize. But it does have trades. It says Mark 16 Mod 0, Cal 556, and it's got your serial number right underneath of it. Mine happens to be 001106. Moving on, got 2 sling mounts here and here, and then there's another sling mount right here, and then I forgot up front there's a sling mount here and on the other side. Moving on, the stock is both adjustable and foldable. So right here, there are 3 points to raise the cheek rest up to. There's 1 all the way down, 2 halfway, 3 all the way. Back here, there's a little button and you just push this, and then you can extend your stock. Oh, right, side folding stock. This button right here, just push it in. You can fold your stock. The only reason why I would fold the stock is for storage or extended carrying. Like if you had this as a secondary, like on your back or something like that. Like if you're doing a large type event, or say you had a light machine gun or something like that, you could just bust this out, fold the stock out, and use this. If I wanted to take this indoors, like I have at TIA, I fielded this at TIA, and I use the stock. But if I wanted to, you know, have like a super close quarters type thing, I just punch out this pin that's right here. You just poke it out, and then you can take the whole stock off while keeping the base plate on, and it'll cut it down to right around, it will cut it down to this size. So, you know, you can use it, and you can keep in tight spaces. You can move your red dot up, and you can have it up here, and you can keep it close to your shoulder or something like that. But I find myself, if I don't have a stock on, I usually hold it right about here. So I might as well fold the stock out and have it. Especially with a gas blowback. This thing does have a decent amount of kick to it. And I like that because the Chris, not so much. The Chris, as I explained in my previous video, is a little bit more just downward. It just kind of goes like, boop. Whereas this one actually has, like, you know, muzzle climb, and you can really feel it in your shoulder. So yeah, this gun is really freaking awesome. Forgot to mention, flip up rear sight. You can adjust for windage and elevation. You just rotate a little piece here, and then on the side for elevation, and then side piece for windage. Now, to field strip this gun, it's very simple. Simply eject your magazine. Check safe, make clear. That's always important. And then what you're going to want to do is just push this receiver pin. It will stay. You will not be able to take this pin out. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to pull the lower receiver up and then pull out. And you've got your whole lower receiver and trigger grouping that you can work on. Now, you can simply pull the bolt catch out and do whatever you want with that. You can clean it, you can grease it, I guess, if you wanted to do. To remove the trigger group, it's fairly simple. You just punch out, punch anything out. You, what's it called? There's an Allen wrench screw right here on the selector switch, and you're just going to want to pull that, unscrew that, and then pull this off. Be sure that the ball bearing you don't lose the ball bearing, otherwise you won't get a click. It'll just kind of free float, and it'll go from semi to safe or semi to auto without actually having to click it. I recommend greasing your trigger group after every usage, and using nothing besides 100% silicone, or use 100% silicone, and try to find a thinner viscosity. You don't want something thick and pasty like white lithium grease. To fully remove the trigger group, you're going to need to go down here and unscrew this. Now, you can use real steel pistol grips because there's no motor housing in here, so nothing to worry about in terms of that. Yep, so that's the lower receiver. Now, to field strip the upper receiver, what you're going to want to do is I just pull my stock off, or pull the base plate off. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your stock and just push downwards until you're at a point where it's about halfway, and then put your finger on a little rubber piece. There's a little rubber piece right here, and just pull your stock off. So your stock comes completely off. You want to set that aside. You don't have to worry about that. You don't need to grease your stock. I mean, you're more than welcome to, but you don't need to. So you're left with this. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your charging handle, pull it back, pull the recoil spring and spring guide out. Set this down. And then you can remove the charging handle. And you can remove your bolt and bolt carrier. Your nozzle right here. You want to make sure that that stays well greased, again with 100% silicone oil. Now the bolt carrier does come with rollers for easier what's it called, bolt travel, for smoother bolt travel. Now, as I mentioned way back in the beginning, this gun does have one big flaw, and that is its nozzle. It is kind of cheap plastic, and the what's it called? The feed ramp, the piece that actually strips the round and chambers the round, on mine did actually break. It got too brittle from shooting, and it frosted over and broke. It tried to chamber around, and it just broke, and it got jammed up in there. Had to go and clean that shit up. That was a pain. That was really frustrating. It was very, it bummed me out, because I liked using this gun a lot, and now I can't. Haven't gotten a chance to order one. Replacement nozzles are not expensive. They're 28 bucks or $25 or like 22, depending on however e-bike prices it. GI does not have them, so don't go looking at GI. They're like I just said, they're $20 to $28, and they're not expensive. It's just they're plastic. They're just replacement nozzles. They're not reinforced or anything like that. They're just the same thing, and so the same problem is going to happen, and that's why I'm not buying one. I'm just not going to buy a nozzle. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, your gun's just going to sit there. It's just a paperweight. Nope. I need to find the funding, but RA Tech does have a custom CNC aluminum nozzle, so the cyclic rate will slow down big time compared to plastic, but I'd rather have durability and longevity than fast rate of fire. I mean, I don't even shoot this thing on auto. I just use semi, because 30 rounds on auto, gone. I mean, even the Chris on full auto with 49 rounds, almost 50 rounds with one in the pipe, just done. A couple seconds and it's empty. So this thing with 30 rounds, I mean, get a couple bursts off and then you got to reload. And I only have 3 mags. I have 3 mags for this and 3 mags for the Chris. 3 mags for my 1911. 3 mags. 3 mags. I have 7 mags for my M4. I think 3 mags with gas is pretty good, depending on the gun. 15 rounds for a 1911, 15 rounds for a pistol, so 45 rounds, not that bad. 30 rounds, so I've got 90 rounds with the Scar, and then call it 50 for the Chris, so I've got 150 rounds with the Chris. It's pretty standard. I mean, you play Call of Duty and you have like 630 rounds and you're using an M4 and you're running like a madman. No. You don't carry around 600 rounds, and if you do, it's in your Humvee, or it's back at base, or it's on your fucking support gunner's back and he's carrying all that shit. Not because you can carry, 30 plus magazines. No. No. So yeah, I am planning on getting that RI Tech custom CNC aluminum nozzle on e-bike. It does come with a negative pressure air system, so NPAS, meaning I can change the FPS, which is a huge, huge plus for me, because I was worried that this thing was going to chrono too hot at TAA, and I think if the mag was any fuller, it would have. So I'd like to be able to drop it way down. Plus, you get better bass consumption. You get better gas consumption with the lower FPS because it's not pushing so much gas out to shoot every round. And at TAA, I'm shooting no further than like 20 feet. I mean, most of my engagements are between 10 and 3 feet, so I don't really need to pack a punch. Like if I can shoot like 200 FPS or 210 FPS with twos, I'll have great gas consumption, so I can probably get about like 2.5, 3 mags per fill, save money on gas, and yeah. That nozzle I believe is like $85, and originally I was gonna have to order it from eHobby Asia. Or no, not even eHobby Asia had it, just like some weird company in like Taiwan or something had them, so it would have taken like a couple months to get to me. So I said no thank you, and I waited till a company in the US had one, and Evike now carries it, so I'm gonna find the funding and I'm gonna buy that. I actually have a few things to buy. I have to get a gearbox shell, motor, wire harness, nozzle, and a NPOS for my Chris so that I can do the same thing. I forgot to mention, if the gun is on safety, it cannot be charged. You have to have it on fire in order to charge it. So yeah, that's the WE Scar. It's a great buy, $280. You can't really go wrong, or $250 or whatever the fuck it's priced at. It's a great gun. Like I said, the nozzle is the main problem, and I think that was just user error. That was just me being too trigger happy and letting my gun get too. Actually, I think now that I think about it, I think it broke on a mag dump. I think I let one of my buddies shoot it because he hadn't gotten to use it, and the last round had just ended, and I was like, yeah, just go for a mag dump. And then he's like, oh, it's not firing, and then I checked, and it wasn't working. Now, I'm not going to blame him, but it's also one of the reasons why I don't fire on full auto. Barely fire full auto with the Chris, and that's KWA. Those guys make beautiful stuff. So I'm starting to get off topic, and I just finished the review, so I might as well stop talking. I want to thank you for watching. Check out some of my other videos, if you would. That would be fantastic. You know, comments that you have. You know, you can dislike this video because I get off topic or I talk about other stuff that isn't related to the gun. You might want to just go check out Evike or Airsoft GI if you're looking for like a 4-minute review. If you're looking for a little bit of character, come here. Yeah, that's about it. Kick-ass gear stand with all my stuff. Kick-ass mask. This is me pushing a button to end the video.